Now that we have downloaded our map from the internet, before we can add it to QGIS with our other data, we first must georeference it. The following method is suitable if your map has a grid. If it doesn't, then you can use the method for corona imagery described in a later tutorial. Firstly, you need to make sure that you have set up QGIS so that it is ready to georeference. Start a new project by clicking the New Project button. Add a Google Earth or other satellite imagery base map as a reference. Zoom in to your chosen area approximately. The Georeferencer tool is part of QGIS, but we need to make sure that it is activated before we can use it. To do this, go to Plugins on the menu and select Manage and Install Plugins. Click on the Installed tab and find Georeferencer GDAL and make sure that it is ticked. Now we can start the georeferencing process. On the menu, select Raster and select Georeferencer. The Georeferencer window will open. To make this process easier to follow, I am going to dock the Georeferencer window into the main map, but you may not have room to do this if your screen is small. Click Settings, click Configure Georeferencer and tick Show Georeferencer window docked. And then if you want to, you can move it to a different part of your screen. The first thing we need to do is add our map to the Georeferencer. Click on the Open Raster button or select File and Open Raster. Find your scanned map. Select it and click Open. You can now explore your map by using the map navigation tools . You can also use your mouse wheel, like so, and if need be, you can hold your mouse wheel down to pan without selecting the pan button. In order to georeference your map, we first need to find out which coordinate reference system was used when it was drawn. This information is usually found somewhere on your map, often as part of the key, scale, and other data at the bottom or on the side. If I zoom into this map, we can see that the details we need are here in purple font. Once we have located these details, we are going to see if we can find this coordinate reference system in QGIS. So click the CRS button and try typing any name you can find. As you can see, two options have come up for my map. An Iraq zone covering a small area and an Iraq zone covering all of Iraq. This one seems to be more likely, but we can check by comparing the details here on the map and the details found in this box about the reference system. So here, for example, we see Clark 1880. This is the ellipsoid used, and here we see Clark 1880. We can see that it is a Lambert conformal conical projection, and here you can see something very similar on the map. And if I go right down to the bottom, you can see that the latitude here is 32.5 and here 32 and 30 seconds, which is the same. Here it's 45 and here it's 45, and the false coordinates are the same here as here and here to here. So we can be very confident that this is the right one to choose. So we select it and click OK. If a window like this pops up, don't worry, just click OK. Once we've found the right coordinate system, we are now going to change some other settings. So click on the Transformation Settings button, or go to Settings and Transformation Settings. We are going to change transformation type in the first drop-down menu from polynomial 1 to projective. This is the best option for scan maps. We can keep the second one the same, but we want to change the last one, which is the coordinate reference system, to be the same as the project one, as we set this to be the same as our map. So there we have Nahwan 1934 Iraq zone. For our output raster, we can click and save it in our GIS folder, in our maps subfolder. So I am just going to keep the same name but put GR afterwards for georeferenced and click save. We want to make sure that save GCP points is ticked and load in QGIS when done is ticked, and then we click OK. Now that we have all the right settings, we can start the georeferencing process. To do this, we need to add at least 4 ground control points, or GCPs, to the map's grid. But bear in mind that the more points we add, the more accurate the georeferencing will be. You can click on this button to show the whole extent of the map. We are going to start in the top left-hand corner, so click the zoom button and zoom into this area. Remember, we're going to be using the grid itself to georeference this map, so we need to be looking at the numbers and using the numbers on the grid itself. Eastings or X coordinates run along the top of the map, and northings or Y coordinates run along the side of the map. So you can see here would be a good place for our first point, because we have the number for our easting here and the number for our northing here. So I'm going to click Add Point, and I'm going to zoom right in to here and put it as accurately as I can, and click. You will see this window pop up. Zoom out using the mouse button, and then type in the X coordinate and the Y coordinate, making sure you get them the right way round. And click OK. We can check that we are in roughly the right area, because a red point will appear both on our map and in the main map view window here. We now need to repeat this for other parts of the map. So I'm going to zoom in to the top right. And you can see a second point has appeared. it is very easy to make a mistake, especially with the number of zeros. You can see here that it is clear that I have made a mistake because my last point is not where I would expect it to be here. The easiest way to check for errors is to look at the destination X and the destination Y column in the GCP or ground control point table. You can see that all of my X coordinates look right, and most of my Y coordinates look right, but this one looks different, and that's because I'm missing a 0. You can either delete this point by clicking the delete point button and clicking on it, or you can double click where there's an error and make any adjustments you need to. And you can see here that looks a lot better, and the point has appeared in the window. I have added 4 points. This is the minimum, but really we should add as many as possible. So I'm going to carry on adding points now. Okay, I have now added 9 points and they look good on my map. So I'm going to run the georeferencer. To do this, we click the Start Georeferencing button, or go to File and Start Georeferencing. You can see that our map has been added to the QGIS map view window. But before we close the georeferencer, we should make sure that we're happy with the location of our map. We can do this by zooming in and then turning on and off the map to check it against the river, in this case, or any other features visible on the satellite imagery and the maps. Something else that is good to use to check is to make the map slightly transparent, and we can do this by right-clicking it and going to Properties and then clicking on the Transparency tab. Either use the slider to change it to about 50%, or you can type 50% into the box and click Apply and OK. And now we can see the map and the satellite imagery at the same time, and that there's good agreement between the map and the satellite imagery just following this river down, the Euphrates down. If there are mistakes, then you can go back to the georeferencer and change any of the numbers or anything else, and then just rerun it. But I'm happy with this, so we can close the georeferencer. You may have to undock it first if you have done. We can close it, and the points disappear, leaving us with just our map. Don't forget to save your work once you're happy.